Don't you just love it when life comes back full circle and then you find out about the most hilarious thing you could possibly find out about in the funniest way possible? On that note, we just recently found out a few days ago, Christy Nome, who served as the Secretary of Homeland Security, meaning she was the person who was the de facto leader of everything related to Homeland Security, ICE, and everybody else. And historically, she used to be a governor of South Dakota, I think. But our story is not about her, but it's about her husband, Brian Nome, who was recently exposed by the Daily Mail for having a weird sexual kink called bimbofication, which, by the way, I've never even heard of that. And I'm like half of that man's age, where he essentially puts on fake gigantic breasts and he sends those pictures out to sex workers, and he allegedly spent up to $25,000 in his sexual escapades. Now, something that adds a layer of just pure comedy to this whole thing is that allegedly the person who sent a tip about this whole thing is actually a immigrant. I don't know if it's an illegal or a legal one, but it was an immigrant. And the reason why this is funny is because this man's wife was the person who was the head of ICE, essentially, head of Homeland Security. She's the go-to person for anything related to the immigration situation that's happening in the country. So I want you to think about this whole thing. So you're telling me that the husband of the ICE leader in the country was involved in weird sexual escapades with illegal immigrants, or immigrants for that matter. Not only that, but her, Christy, and her husband are both like conservative people who believe in conservative family values and whatnot. Mind you, within the same article or the expose, apparently somebody might have sent a tip to either the New York Post or someone else, I forget who, but they were alleging that Christy Nome herself might have been involved with some of her colleagues in politics. I forget who the person was. So you're telling me the same crowd that voted for anti-LGBT policies, who are conservatives who believe in family values, one of the two parties, the woman in this case, allegedly, was involved in some kind of a weird affair with some other politician who was also Republican, allegedly. And then the husband has a weird fetish where he puts on fake, ginormous breasts and he gets online and then sends those pictures to sex workers online. I want you to imagine what this whole thing looks like. And we have pictures of this, by the way. Now, just add another layer of just pure comedy to this whole thing. If I'm not mistaken, back in 2023, there was a Republican congressman from Florida named George Santos, and this is way back in like 2023, 2024 time. And this man was allegedly involved in some weird drag queen related shows that used to happen in Brazil. The reason why this is odd, given that somebody can come up and say, well, that guy was openly gay. Yeah, that's true. He was openly gay, but he's the same congressman who voted for the anti-gay bill that was passed in Florida back in 2022 or 2023. And the same man who was voting for these bills, who claims to be gay publicly or is gay publicly, was involved in some weird drag situation that was happening over in Brazil. Our final headline regarding this whole thing as well is also none other than the Vice President of the United States of America. We have also JD Vance, who was also caught just in drag from years prior, where he used to be a raging liberal, as someone would say. And for those of you who don't know, JD Vance used to be a far left liberal. As a matter of fact, I think he's the only person that we know of in politics, left or right, who called Trump a fascist, full-blown fascist while in office, right? And this is way back during Trump's first term, and JD Vance used to be an actual lefty. And during that time, he literally used to wear drag, and photos of that just resurfaced recently. And the question is, why is it that these anti-gay Republican guys are being exposed for being oddly into the most obscure types of sexual escapades that you could possibly even know about? It's not like these family Christian conservative people are living a conservative calm lives on a low, where we consistently keep on finding out that they live entirely different lives than the kind of life that they push on other people. On one hand, we have the same clowns that come around and push these conservative values on Americans or anybody else for that matter. And then on the low, they're living these weird gay lives. And at the same time, the same people that were crying about protect the kids and the kids, we find out that people who are hiding these Epstein files and stuff like that are mostly Republicans as well. Why is it that the people that they call morally bankrupt, they're degenerates, blah, blah, the Republicans call that, or right-wingers like to use these words against the left side of the aisle, but at the same time, it's the left that's like, listen, man, if you're living that life in the low, I don't care. As a matter of fact, I'll even pass policies to protect your lifestyle to live that kind of lifestyle. But then it's some kind of Republican that will come out and say, no, this is against what God had created us for. But then on the low, they live in this ungodly lives. Not only that, but also we consistently keep on finding out about some weird Republican that's into kids or like is caught with videos or pictures. Or why is it that these guys live in this massive hypocritical life? And don't get me wrong, I don't believe left-wingers don't live that kind of lifestyle either. Hypocrisy exists on both sides of the aisle. But last I checked, lefties don't use God as justification for the kind of policy that they pass, but then live a completely ungodly life on the low. Anyways, I don't want to make the video too long. This is just a hilarious story that came out, and I want to see what you guys think about this whole thing, and leave your comments and thoughts in the comment down below. And if the algorithm gets it right, you're probably gonna like the video that's gonna be up on the screen. And see you guys on the next one.